Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today for the introduction to the schools forums. We do ask that you stay on mute and with the cameras turned off just to help the presentation, but we do welcome any questions throughout the meeting on the chat function. So as I'm presenting, I'm unable to see the chat, but I do have some colleagues who will be able to respond with answers as we go. If there are any questions that we're unable to respond to right away, if you just leave your name and the local authority that you're from, and we'll get back to you over email. The slides to this will also be shared, and the recording of the presentation will also be put onto our YouTube channel, and we'll send a link round to that as well to all of the participants. So just to quickly introduce myself, I'm Annie Wood and I work on the Pre-16 Funding Implementation team. I've worked on looking at schools forums and schools forum scrutiny now for about 4.5 years. I've also got my colleagues in the chat that do the schools forum scrutiny alongside me. So we'll make a start. So I'm hoping that everyone's able to see the slides okay. So what is a schools forum? A schools forum is a body that meets to discuss issues that relate to schools in a local authority area. The regulations require that every local authority does have a schools forum and they must meet at least 4 times a year. Sometimes it's often more than 4 times as well. We have recently permanently amended the regulations so that schools forum can be held remotely. So it's not limited to, but that includes telephone conferencing, video conferencing, live webcast and live interactive streaming. This was introduced over the COVID period, but it's something that we have permanently changed now to the regulations going forward. And the schools forum regulations govern the composition, constitution, and the procedures of schools forums. So is there a minimum or a maximum size for schools forum and who attends them? So we don't actually have a minimum or a maximum size, but the local authority will take various issues into account, so including the need to have full representation for schools and schools members, and the local authority's policy on representation of non-school members. School reps must make at least 2/3 of the total schools forum membership, and the balance between maintained primary, maintained secondary and academies must be broadly representative of the pupil numbers in each category and will include representation from all school phases unless there are no maintained primary or secondary schools. 1/3 of the schools forum can be made of non-school members and must include a rep of 16 to 19 providers and an early years provider from the private, voluntary and independent sector. So what issues do schools forums consider? So local authorities can consult on schools forums. So it might be things like changes to the local funding formula, proposed changes to the operation of the minimum funding guarantee, changes to or new contracts that affect schools, so like with the free school meals, arrangements for pupils with special educational needs in pupil referral units and early years provision, surplus clawback mechanism and DSG deficit recovery plans. So while the local authority will put proposals to the schools forum and it's expected to listen and act upon suggestions that are made by the schools forum, the local authority makes the final decision on any of those issues above. The schools forum can write to the Secretary of State to express their concerns in circumstances where the local authority may have gone against the recommendation of the schools forum. Do schools forum have decision-making powers? So yes, they do. They have decision-making powers on proposals that local authorities put to them on the following areas: to de-delegate to maintain schools or to pass back monies allocated to the local authority through the funding formula of services the local authority would provide centrally to the maintained schools. This would be something where only the maintained primary and the secondary school representatives would decide for their own phase. To create a fund for significant pupil growth to ensure that there are sufficient school places in the local authority area. So that would be something that all of the representatives would vote on. Their pupil numbers are falling if the school surplus capacity is likely to be needed within the next 3 years because of the forecast rise in pupil numbers. So the forum should agree both on the value of the fund as well as the criteria for the allocation. And support is available only for schools judged good or outstanding at their last Ofsted inspection. And again, that's something that all of the representatives would vote on. If they're agreeing budgets centrally retained by the local authority, including for local authority statutory responsibilities. So if they relate to maintain schools, then the voting is only by the primary, secondary, special and PRU members of the schools forum. Funding for central early years expenditure, which may include funding for checking the eligibility of pupils for an early years place, the early years pupil premium and/or free school meals. So another one where all of the representatives will vote. And local authorities will require schools forum approval in order to move up to 0.5% from the schools block to other blocks. Another one that all representatives will vote for. It's also worth highlighting at this point, so for the 0.5%, we have got new ministers and we can't preempt what their appetite will be sort of in comparison to the previous ministers at this stage. So what happens if schools forum rejects the local authority's proposal? If the forum rejects the local authority's proposal, the local authority can appeal to the Secretary of State to disapply the schools and early years finance regulations, and that's through the process known as the disapplication process. This involves the local authority submitting a disapplication proforma in which they should include the rationale for the proposal, the potential impact on other schools in the area, and the impact of other educational functions and services. So for elections to the schools forum, the schools forum must elect a chair from among its membership, and elected members of the local authority or local authority officers cannot hold the office of chair. The relevant group, so for instance, Maintain Secondary, would decide how their school members are elected. Same academy sponsors determine the process for electing academy members, so they'll choose which members would represent them. It's a good practice for administration of schools forums. Local authorities must publish all schools forum papers, and that includes the reports and the consultations, well in advance of the meetings and at least a week before the meeting. The local authorities should ensure that websites are accessible and easy to find, and previous schools forum documents and minutes and details of future meetings should also be available on the schools forum website. So a vital part of effective operation of a schools forum is to ensure that an accurate record of the meeting is taken. This must include clear recording of votes where there might be different opinions, and recommendations to and decisions of the schools forum must be clearly set out. We recommend that a log of decisions are published on the website within 3 working days of the meeting. Something else that local authorities have been doing as well now that they're able to meet virtually is also having a recording of the meeting that's on their website. That's something else that we would welcome to see. And minutes of the meeting should be published within 10 working days of the meeting, even if they're in draft form. So with some local authorities, they might wait until their next meeting where they'll sign off the schools forum minutes. So if that's the case for your schools forum, then we would just ask that the draft schools forum minutes are popped onto the website, and then once they've been confirmed at the next meeting, they're updated as the final minutes. So ESFA Scrutiny. We've identified the importance of holding reviews of local authority schools forums to ensure that they're adhering to the regulations. So these reviews are desk-based and we scrutinise the meeting minutes and documents considered by the forum. We run them continuously throughout the year. So when we're having a look, we'll be looking for the forum composition, voting on any issues, adherence to the regulations, and they also provide us with valuable information around local issues that enable us to intervene earlier and offer assistance if it is needed. You might find that your school's forum clerks will get an email from us whilst we are carrying out this scrutiny exercise, and we'll ask if the school's forum is representative. That's nothing to worry about. It's just something that we do once we are doing the scrutiny project, just to ensure that that the school's forum are representative. But for the school's forum visits, we also attend schools forums as part of wider work that we're doing to ensure that the meetings are being run effectively and they feed into our good practice guidance. So if we are planning to attend one of your school's forums, we'll send your clerk an email well in advance of the meeting. We may, once we come along to those meetings, we may answer questions that are put to us before the meeting, or we're also happy to take any questions away and we'll answer them later. We don't usually provide feedback following attendance from a school's forum. Obviously, if there are any concerns regarding the regulation adherence and the operation of the school's forum meeting, then we will get in touch. But like I said, if we are planning to visit one of your school's forums, we'll let you know well in advance. We'll get in contact with your school's forum clerk, and at that point we might ask if there are any questions that you'd like us to respond to on our attendance. So I've got to the end of the slides there. Here saying, apart from circulating the school's forum reports to members at least a week in advance, is there any other requirement to publish the reports elsewhere before the meeting? Yes, we would ask if that could be put up on your school's forum website at least 10 days prior to the meeting. So any documents that are going to be taken to the meeting, we would expect to see on the websites. Just one more question there. So to publish within 3 days does seem short. So that's a good point there. So again, if it is sort of draft school forum minutes, they can be put up there and we wouldn't expect to see the final minutes until they've been signed off at a later date. That's all of the questions gone through. If there are any that are missed, like I said, we will send a copy to everyone that's been in this meeting. Thank you once again for joining us this morning. And if there are any further questions, then please feel free to email us after this session from our Schools Forum mailbox. And thank you again for joining us.